bear hug, bear hug. Freeze, deep under. So what is a deep freeze? 4 and 5 and 5 and 16. There is also below, or what they call below the freezing or zone. Below the freezing zone point. Now we have to think of everything that has to do with a point. This is a game. Before I go on with this, with absolutely nothing prepared, I'm going to make it as simple and as quick as possible. This is all within the realm of your own logical imagination, in which can be within or it can be without the greater understanding of the fact of the usage of area space. Not what you can use in area space, but just to understand area space. Now, we can also go to understand air, water, the basic elements, the basic zodiac, just the word. We're not looking for any more than the word. But with freeze, what is the freezing point? Deep freeze? What does it mean to have a deep freeze? Because usually, when you go into the deep freezer, it's minus 18 Fahrenheit. So now, yeah, my camera's getting stuck. I'm not happy with it. So what's going on now with the deep freeze is we have to understand body temperature, which I think is 98.6. And where do all these numbers come from? And I'm working alone, and that's a very, very poor excuse for me to saying, can't explain it. I can see it, but I can't mathematically connect. Well, I could mathematically connect it, but I'm trying to understand what the difference is between 98 and 0.6. You see, if I had 4 numbers, I know right away I'm going to have a comma and then put 3 numbers together. Unless I'm working with numbers like money, which is mana, then I'll use 2 of the numbers. I can put 0, 0, and 2 dots for what is the cent creation, because it took the penny to create the dollar. Now think about this. We're going to go back to the Stone Age. Now everything started by the seed, grew into a tree or a flower, a plant, and then it became what it was with 1,000 seeds. So 1 seed created. But then again, with a large stone, if you can crack the nut to get the seed out, or crack the stone to become many stones. Now it's the many stones that create the penny. Because the penny may have been this great big stone. We used to call this great big stone a penny. And then we broke the stone. Then we had many pennies. We had to say, we had 50 stones. We called now all the stones, since there was 1 stone, now there's 50. All the stones are worth 25. Why? Because there's still 1 big stone. So the 1 big stone has to have more value than the smaller stones. So you break the bigger stones. Now you have more smaller stones. The bigger stone is smaller, and the other stones are littler. So now you have more small stones. So now you end up with pennies from what was one God sent, the unity of love, to all broken up into fragments. And until those fragments come together and hug and hold and understand the difference of what free choice is, first we have to go really deep down to believe that there is a creator, to believe back into what is the reality of church and the division in religion? Yeah, a division in religion, because there seems to be 100 gods on this planet, but everybody seems to lead in more or less one way or another back to Jesus Christ, and whether he brought on Judaism, in which apparently did not, we can understand where the background or the seed came from. So now I work with certain things from where that seed comes from that root, and then I branch out. So how can we find the truth about words? And I believe the systems that have been put out there through the greatest creators in the world, the alphabet, Morse code in order where to connect our dots, and where dots can be found. If it's a square, I'll call it a stamp. But if it's a dot, I'll call it a drill. I'll call it a tortoise. Why? This is square. I call it a stamp. Why? Because how do you create this? You would have to go 1, 2, 3. How are you going to create this shape? It's easy, you just drill into these. But anyways, this is just food for thought. So here's all my dots. So where are the dot values? They're over here. Here's the dot values. We gave form to those dots. If you saw them as dots, they're all one to me. One here, one here, one here. This is one in the top left corner, one in the top right corner, one in the bottom left-hand corner. Now, if this whole thing was broken up into what this looks like and making it of the same size, I'm going to go the face has 9 individual areas that are cubes. Each cube has 6 sides valued at 1 dot per side. So each cube will be worth 6, 6, 6, 18, 18, and 18, equals to a total of 54. 54. Now, you can't really count this cube, okay, because it's the same as this cube. So the actuality is there's 26 times 54. Did I get that right? 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 54 for this area here, and that is going to be 3, 6, 9 cubes. Right. So there's 26 cubes. Z. The same thing of what can be A. I'll explain that after. Okay, equals 2. 26 times 54 equals to 1404. And 54, because there's a core to it. So it's all of these spin around all of these. So this will end up to be minus 54 equals to 0 equals to 5 is 1350. And again, we keep running back into the numeric value of 135. Think of that as the ace. Think of that as the sun. Think of that in rotation. You see, we can go, we need to use all these in combinations. I'm not going to talk about them right now. I just want to tell you that number 2 will connect these two, and number 4 will connect these two. Or you can do it that way, whichever you want, and that's connecting the 7th gate. 2 times 4, 2 plus 4 will create the 7th gate, because this 6 is what will, this 6 is what's going to happen over here. This is number 7 and this is number 5. The 6th one gets put over here. Sometimes I used to think, well, why not make the 6 this big? Well, because if I made the 6 this big, it would get a new evaluation. So then I'd have to plug in numbers everywhere. And by the way, I'm going to plug in those numbers right now. Just give me a second. What happens is when number 66 shows up over here. 6 and 6. That equals 212. And what happens is now we go down this way. We divide the center area to both sides. So when we go down, this square in between 5 and 5 becomes 9. But the square that intervenes with 575, which is the moon, is 66. And what intervenes, this block over here, okay, looks like 88, right? Remember that. 88 purple Pegasus. And there's a few other 6226 Queen, 2662 Queen, dog, card, game, all kinds of stuff. So 676, the point of the pyramid, okay, 676 equals to 19, 575 equals to 17, where 66 connects it. Now, if we take the entirety of this, excluding this for now, we will have 5, 9, 5, 8, 6, 6, which equals to 19, 6, 6, 12, which equals to 20, okay, plus 7. 19 and 20 is S and T, first and last. The angels, all 13s, so it's the pointer connectors between 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. The reason I use 1, 8, because the 1, 8 is in the middle. The 1, 9 is in the middle. The 1, 7 is in the middle. They're half area spaces is the way I've done this to see if it works to start with. Where was I going to go to next with this? So we can use this 7, right? We don't have to use all these numbers, and we really can't use all the numbers. Either we use the 9, right, with the 5. The 9 and 5 are opposites of each other. No, let's not get into that, because that's just a dice thing, you know. You have a 4 and a 5, you have 9. So if you have the 4 and 5, 9, you're going to have the 3 and 2, 5. And 4 equals to 60, 5 equals to 42. That's a Valentine. Wow. Not only a Valentine, but it's going to equal a 12, and that is your base creation, 312, which is 156, 12 by 12 moons. But you want to have that 104 communication 3 times. This is what this is 3 times 12 is 36. 31 is the cube itself in Venus. Alpha beta equals what 3 is, coming from creation of 2 cubes, 1 and 1. And in both cubes of 1 and 1, you both have 88 voided area spaces, but you have 44 area voided spaces, okay, between here and here. What does that tell you? I'm just showing you this dot going around this. I want to see it. Did I do that right? I'm going to do that slower. In fact, let me make it even larger. Remember, even though you have 9 and 9 areas in each, okay, you have 16 and 16 points. You have 4 points to each center, 44. And in the 4 points to each center, on the outside, you will have 12 points and 12 points. So both what you have inside of area space, you also have the dots of what transmits everything. That might be what these combinations are talking about. So do you know what I'm talking about? Each one of these that connect. And size matters. So we're playing with the Earth size and also understanding the 4 dots of Mars, or the 4 area spaces of Mars. So did you understand what this was? So 20, 39 equaling the 46. If we did it with both of them, it would equal to 53. Electric company. But anyways, The word body is 46. This is going to emanate into the sun. 13, stripe. 5, solid. The orange ball made up of red and yellow. 27 and 29. How about 9, 11? How about 9, 11, or 4 and 16? Again, talking about 16 is the purple ball. 16 is an association of all the pool balls, equaling, if you were counting from 1 to 16, if you were counting from 1 to 16, it would equal to 136. And that is a basic count in basic numbers, which is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, and your count all the way up to this is once you get to 1 through 15, it equals to 120 base, which is the pole. And then you end up with the plus the 16, which is the P. But you can't play it that way. You can't play it that way. You can go all the way from A to E, and you can go from F to B. But you can't be the face and the ass at the same time. But unless this is talking about your only 7 passage, and the only one that can be counted as a 7. The only one that can be counted as a 7. Or the only one that can't be counted as a 7. It is the 8 heaven. It is the 8 void of the 6 heaven. The 8 void of the 6 heaven, 2 times 4, 2 plus 4. So we have to understand that that is the passage within the 8 heaven, the Holy Ghost, the 8 heaven of the 6 passing light. 8 and 6, 2 times 4, 2 plus 4, of what connects 1 and 3. Create 6 and 8. Connect 6 and 8. Those are the 2 numbers that will create 6 and 8. So we are going to do crossing and crossing. We have 77 and we have 86. So we have the Christ, the matter, crossing through the DC gateway. And then we flip it over and we get 42. So we flip it over and we get 56. And we flip it over and we get 26. So when we get 26, that's a Mars number. That is where your vibration stands from 1 through 6. You remember what I said? Where is it? A and E. When you flip it over, it's F and B. So that's the way this has to work. It's this way or that way. That's what I'm saying. You can't. Let me just say this. You go. It's AM, right? It's AM, and that's like in the morning, right? And you can also say AD, like after the death. Well, what this is this is where your ABCD first rotation standing on D. When you come back home, 1, 2, 3, you come back home at 4. That is your DC separation. Now you have the 2, 3, and you have the 2, 1, 2, 4, and you have the 3, 1, 4. So I'm not sure exactly which way to go, but when you have A through M, it's now 91. Now the thing about this is counting from A all the way to D, A, B, C, D equals to 10. Counting A all the way to M equals to 91. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go D all the way to M. So when you count D all the way to M, you are going to end up with 85, because ABC is now missing. The thing about MD is it's 1,500. Again, a numeric value that is in the middle of your vibration, 1,500. 1, 3, and 5 have to do with the sun. 1, 3, and 5 are your standard creation. 3 is your standard creation inside of 8. There's one area here, okay, and there's 8 that surround. There's one area and one area between one area. Between these two cubes, there's a dividing line between these two cubes. There's 8 areas and 8 areas void. It equals to 16, and that is the opposite side of the dice. 1 plus 6 equals to that 7th gate. 8, 1, 8. Becomes one number. Does it become one number at the end or 2 numbers at the end? When you're playing craps, when you're playing backgammon and other games, sometimes it's one number and sometimes it's 2. In Monopoly, it becomes only one number. Where else am I going to go? Purple Pegasus 565, the Ace Sun. Yes, we were working on this piece about 26 in the cube, and the calculation for that is 2 times 6 equals to the 12 colors that are together. And the 12 colors that are together is yellow, green. And then we're going to go orange, white. We want this mixed up. We don't want all the colors together. We need to see. I already know what the answer is to this cube. I can tell you orange is opposite of red. I can tell you that green is opposite of blue. I can tell you white is opposite of yellow. So I already know the result. And it ain't going to change anything inside of here. The question is, for me, one of the questions is, if I talk about everything being a skeleton, how do I not know this is not going to pop open? And each one's going to go to its coordinate space and rotate in the meaning that it has to. Remember, there's 26. How many of these are there? Are there the basic creation of 84? The Pluto cycle? If there were 84 of these, how many would there be? The French say 69. So how many of these Rubik's Cubes do we need spreading out through space before we have the basic, can I say, fractal universe? So I'm just trying to base everything down on this little thing here. Whoop, now I lost all my colors. Hold on a second. Yellow, green,